Hello, and welcome to this introduction to the fourth edition of the Bayley Scales of Infant and Toddler Development, referred to as the Bayley-4. I am Dr. Gloria McCoo, and I will be the narrator for the presentation. We are pleased to announce that Pearson will publish the Bayley-4 and the Bayley-4 screening test in 2019. We would like to take this opportunity to give you a preview of the fourth edition of the Bayley. This brief presentation will provide an overview of the Bayley-4 and a summary of the development goals. Additionally, we will describe the uses and applications of the Bayley-4 and the digital options available for administration and scoring. Before we describe the fourth edition of the Bayley, let's consider the development history of the scales. The original Bayley Scales of Infant Development was published in 1969. The author was Dr. Nancy Bayley, a psychologist who in the early part of her career had conducted research on early development at the University of California, Berkeley. Based on her work at Berkeley, Dr. Bayley had published the California First Year Mental Scale in 1933 and the California Infant Scale of Motor Development in 1936. These were the precursors to her 1969 Bayley Infant Scales. The Bayley consisted of a mental scale and a motor scale and was used to assess the development of infants and toddlers between the ages of 2 months and 30 months. The second edition of the Bayley was published in 1993 and retained the mental and motor scales. This edition was developed for use with infants and toddlers between the ages of 1 month and 42 months. The third edition of the Bayley was published in 2006. This edition retained the 1 to 42-month age range and included a major change in the structure of the instrument. The mental and motor scales were replaced with 5 scales: cognitive, communication, motor, social emotional, and adaptive behavior, consistent with federal legislation on early intervention. The Bayley-4 maintains the age range and the 5-scale framework of the Bayley-3. One of the primary applications of the Bayley-4 is to identify infants and toddlers with developmental delay. The need to identify infants and toddlers who have a developmental delay or who may be at risk for a developmental delay is captured in federal legislation. The legislation also describes the importance of early intervention, and many practitioners use the Bayley to identify appropriate interventions. Historically, the Bayley also has been used to chart a child's progress after initiating an intervention program. In addition, the Bayley has been used as a research tool, for example, to examine the performance of children in a particular clinical or diagnostic group, or to track the impact of various interventions on children's development. As we noted previously, the Bayley-4 retains the 5 developmental domains introduced with the Bayley-3. The 5 Bayley-4 scales are listed here. The cognitive domain assesses cognitive functions, including attention, memory, and concept formation. The language domain assesses receptive and expressive language, including preverbal communication, vocabulary development, including morphological development, and joint referencing and turn-taking. The motor domain assesses fine motor skills, including reaching, grasping, and perceptual motor integration, as well as gross motor skills, including crawling, walking, running, jumping, and walking up and down stairs. The cognitive, language, and motor scales are administered with child interaction. The social-emotional domain assesses social-emotional development, including self-regulation, relationships, and emotions. The adaptive behavior domain assesses adaptive skills, including communication, daily living skills, and socialization. A parent questionnaire is used to assess social-emotional development and adaptive behavior. The Bayley-4 incorporates three interrelated elements when assessing infants and toddlers for developmental delay. The administration of structured test items is combined with direct observation of behaviors and milestones and active participation of the parent or caregiver in the evaluation process. As a diagnostic tool, the Bayley has been most useful as part of a complete developmental assessment battery. The Bayley-4 is well suited for multidisciplinary and arena assessment teams because the cognitive, language, and motor scales can be administered independently, but the scores for each scale can be compared to one another because the normative data for all the scales derived from data collected from the same population. When Pearson embarked on the revision of the Bayley-3, the development team for the Bayley-4 established specific goals. The team wanted to maintain the basic qualities and format of the Bayley scales and improve age and content coverage. Also, they wanted to update the normative data, improve the clinical utility, and increase sensitivity. As for administration and scoring, the development team wanted to simplify administration, reduce administration time, include caregivers in the evaluation process, and develop a polytomous scoring system. If you are familiar with the Bayley-3, you know that the Bayley-3 uses a dichotomous scoring approach for the items on the cognitive, language, and motor scales. A score of 1 is assigned for an item when the child demonstrates the behavior described by the item. A score of 0 is assigned when the child's response does not meet the criteria specified by the item. The dichotomous scoring approach does not capture emerging skills that are precursors of mastery. So the Bayley-4 will use a polytomous scoring approach where each item can be scored 2, 1, or 0 depending on the quality of the child's response. Let's take a look now at the features of the Bayley-4. As we noted previously, the Bayley-4 is designed to be administered to infants and toddlers between the ages of 1 month, which begins at 16 days, and 42 months. It consists of a core battery of 5 scales: cognitive, language, motor, social-emotional, and adaptive behavior. The language scale includes receptive communication and expressive communication. The motor scale includes fine motor and gross motor. The Bayley-4 is administered to one child at a time and will be available in paper and pencil format and in digital format. Depending on the age of the child, the assessment can be completed within 30 to 70 minutes. The instrument will yield scaled scores at the subtest level, composite scores at the domain level, as well as percentile ranks, confidence intervals, developmental age equivalents, and growth scale values. Examiners who use the Bayley-4 should have graduate level or professional training and experience in the administration and interpretation of standardized clinical instruments. The Bayley-4 will offer several new features, including digital administration, scoring, and reporting, reduced administration time, new and revised item content, and updated norms and validation studies. The content of the Adaptive Behavior Scale for the Bayley-4 will be from the third edition of the Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scales. The Bayley-4 screening test will feature updates as well. The digital administration scoring and reporting for the Bayley-4 will be available on Q Global. That is Pearson's web-based administration scoring and reporting system. Q Global will allow you to quickly assess and efficiently organize demographic information, generate scores, and produce accurate, comprehensive reports using an internet-connected device. For information on Pearson's Q Global platform, go to pearsonclinical.com/QGlobal. The digital option for the Bayley-4 offers several key benefits. One benefit is customization. For example, you will be able to adjust the start point for prematurity. The digital option also provides flexibility. You will not need a separate record form or administration manual, and the system will support administration of related items. Another benefit is ease of use. The system will include messaging to guide establishing the basal and meeting the discontinue rule. Also, the digital option will offer visual representation of administration directions and examples for complex items. The digital option also will improve accuracy. A review screen will help to ensure that all required data are captured prior to submitting the assessment, and the system will provide item score suggestions. In addition to the Bayley-4, Pearson will publish the Bayley-4 screening test in 2019. The Bayley-4 screening test will cover the same age range as the Bayley-4. The administration format will be paper and pencil, and the items can be administered within 15 to 25 minutes. Practitioners will use tables in the manual to identify cut scores by age for cognitive, language, and motor scales. In summary, the Bayley-4 is ideal for assessments of developmental delay and for identifying the strengths and needs of infants and toddlers. The domains cognitive, language, motor, social emotional, and adaptive behavior align with the developmental areas identified by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The results allow practitioners to determine the need for early intervention and the areas of development that should be the focus of intervention. As we noted previously, the Bayley-4 is used effectively as part of multidisciplinary and arena assessment teams, and it allows for caregiver involvement. For more information about the Bayley-4 and the Bayley-4 screening test, please visit our website www.pearsonclinical.com/Bayley-4. On our website, you can sign up to receive updates on the Bayley-4 and the Bayley-4 screening test. If you have questions, please contact your Pearson consultant. You can also email me, gloria.mchugh@pearson.com. Thank you for joining us for this brief presentation to introduce the Bayley-4 and the Bayley-4 screening test. We look forward to providing you with additional information as development proceeds.